Here in New York City, nearly 8 years after the 9/11 attacks, Ground Zero is still mostly a pit. New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg recently held a summit meeting in secret to discuss the ongoing problems and decide what to do next. And that takes us to tonight's Hypocrisy Watch. First, the background. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg has long prided himself in what his administration calls government transparency. Here's a recent radio address.
Transparency and accountability. Those have been the hallmarks of our administration at City Hall. Over the past 7 years, we've swung open the doors of city government and given the public the essential information it needs to make sure that we are living up to our obligations and responsibilities.
Responsibilities, transparency, and accountability, eh? Well, that's interesting because just a few weeks ago, the mayor held that big summit meeting to talk about Ground Zero. 8 years after the terrorists knocked down the Twin Towers, the rebuilding effort continues to be plagued by engineering flaws, bureaucratic bungling, and a design the market hates. As you can see, not much has gotten off the ground. City and state officials have been trying to follow what's known as the Freedom Tower plan. The drawings called for 5 office towers with sloping roofs and a taller tower in the middle. But the developer has been unable to get lease or rent commitments for most of the buildings, so the smaller office towers haven't even been started. And the main Freedom Tower calls for that office tower to be linked to the rest underground, interconnected. So a few weeks ago, Mayor Bloomberg called some of the critical parties together at Gracie Mansion, including the governors of New York and New Jersey, the developer Larry Silverstein, the Port Authority director responsible for the site. Officials refused to say what was said or decided at the secret meeting. Furthermore, the meeting excluded any representatives of the 9/11 families, firefighters, and police. You know, representatives of those who actually worked and died at Ground Zero. Those families have long demanded the Freedom Tower plan be scrapped and that new twin towers be built stronger, taller, and safer. A sophisticated series of models, blueprints, and plans have already been put together, and the families believe that rebuilding what the terrorists tried to take away is what America is all about. Plus, the Twin Tower designer says rebuilding the iconic towers would be more economically feasible than the current Freedom Tower plan, which is now stalled. But again, the 9/11 families, in their design view, were excluded from the secret meeting. Mr. Mayor, the ongoing problems at Ground Zero are insulting, which is why I think you called together some of the key parties. But not including the 9/11 families is horrifying. And for you to brag about transparency and accountability as you determine the fate of Ground Zero in secret, that's hypocrisy. And it's wrong.